Of all the creatures to ever dwell on Terraria, there is certainly a selection of unusual examples: sentient lizards, skybound harpies, and demons of the deep below, but few are as unique and mysterious as the Truffles and their underground caverns of glowing mushrooms. Unfortunately, the world at large sees these places as little more than a den of potion materials or powerful narcotics, and as a result the Truffles suffer dearly for the ignorance of others. Gods had begun, humanity had all players deep and challenging, different is less likely to get me horribly During the time of the Dryads, the wood nymphs lived in great living trees, their root systems providing all that they would ever need: materials, abodes, nutrients. To create such wondrous homes, seedlings would be imbued with the elemental power of the nymphs, so that they would grow tall and strong, capable of sensing danger and protecting their inhabitants if required. Unbeknown to the nymphs though, fungus began to grow on the roots, as it would with any tree, and fed from them, sharing their nutrients, and also a portion of their great power bestowed upon them. As the living trees grew larger, and their roots reached deep into the ground, so did the fungus. But over time the fungus began to change, taking on properties unlike anything else on Terraria. It developed buds that grew into mushrooms, and those mushrooms glowed. Seeking out more space to exist, the fungal tendrils searched the underground caverns, and once a suitable space was found, it quickly spread a fleshy mat across every surface it could find, and began growing its buds. Content in its cavernous safety, the mycelial network considered its future, how it would proceed and better itself, and then something occurred to it. Never before had it considered anything, never had it thought. It had always just worked on an instinct of sorts. There had always been a vague awareness of its actions, but never before had it had a conscious thought. With its exponential growth, the complex tangle of tendrils, fungus, and mushroom-like buds had begun to act almost like a brain, creating a degree of sentience. The newly born awareness knew not of its accidental conception by the nymphs and their living trees, but quickly became determined to seek the nature of its being, the reason for its existence. Growing outwards into more caverns, the mushrooms felt their awareness increase, and its ability to comprehend expand beyond anything it could have imagined. However, with the enhanced awareness of self came the understanding of others, and how there were none. Was it completely alone, the consciousness mused? It could try to expand out to find others like it, but it was already becoming a struggle to maintain the size it had become. After a long time of consideration, the consciousness finally concluded it needed to become more. It needed to be reborn into a new form, an avatar it could use to explore this world. It took an age of experimentation, but eventually the mushroom biome created a bud that contained all of its sentience and knowledge that would grow into a form capable of traversing the cavernous underground and beyond, the truffle. It wasn't exactly what was planned though. Rather than an avatar for the awareness, it had birthed a life form unto itself, a thinking being capable of its own determination. In many ways, the awareness had birthed a child. Still, the truffle did as it was instructed, driven by the same desires as its parent, and travelled beyond the underground in the name of exploration. It would not return for a long time though, and explorers of other kinds would stumble upon the mushroom biome. Thinking it a cornucopia of unique resources, these invaders would harvest the mushrooms, causing the awareness great pain. When the truffle finally did return with news of the existence of others like itself, it found the biome was injured and in agony, dying. It told its child to go to the others and warn them of the terrible invaders, to prepare to defend themselves, for the same fate may soon come to them. With that, the biome died, and the great blue glow was extinguished. Doing as it was commanded, the others were warned, and in response they learned how to grow lethal defences, and even use their spores to take control of natural fauna to defend them. The sentient mushroom biomes would soon become formidable, and ward off anyone else who attempted to harvest them. In the future, more truffles would be born, some travelling to seek out potential threats to their kind, and others remaining at home to defend their parents. In time, the story of the invaders and their murder of one of the fungal consciousnesses would pass into the very being of the truffles and their brethren, a deep distrust of anyone and anything that was not like them. One day there would be one truffle explorer who heard of the good one of the outsiders was doing, and discovered they had even allowed a mushroom consciousness to blossom on the surface, where resources were aplenty and they could grow large and powerful. The Truffle would choose to join this champion's town, and although it found many of the inhabitants were akin to the invaders, shunning it or even trying to eat it, there was kindness too from some of the people, mostly the Dryad, one of those who unwittingly allowed the creation of the Truffle's ancestors. It would take time, but maybe one day the Truffles could convince the surface dwellers that the glowing mushrooms were not just lifeless fungus, but sentient beings, and so convince his own people that not every outsider was vicious and dangerous. For now, nothing had changed, but in time anything could happen.